Giddy up, boy, yee-haw, screw cars, horses are the best. Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, directed by Kelly Asprey and Lorna Cook, and is the 5th DreamWorks animated feature movie overall. So Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron tells the story of Spirit, a Mustang leader of a Cimarron herd of wild horses in the days of the West, and until he is captured and by the US Army, and then captured by Indians, and both nations attempt to tame him, but he is one legend who won't be tamed, and he also falls in love with a beautiful mare, Rain, befriends an Indian boy who is different from other humans he's met, and embarks on an epic and exhilarating quest to not only fight for his freedom, but to save his homeland itself from development. I've just reviewed one other of the DreamWorks hand-drawn movies, The Prince of Egypt, exactly a year ago, and I always saw Spirit and Prince of Egypt as the two gods of DreamWorks hand-drawn animation, and now after analysing both in greater detail in preparation for my How to Train Your Dragon 3 The Hidden World review, I can safely say that Spirit is now my favourite of the two movies. Not by much, just slightly, but Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron is a timeless and electrifying animated masterpiece. I can't even describe how underrated this is. I was just 6 when I saw it back in May 2002, and I have still have the VHS tape ever since. So let's get to my overwhelming positives. For starters, Spirit is one of the best examples I can think of show don't tell for animation. Thank heavens DreamWorks made the decision to not have the horses talk ever in this movie. The horses just they just communicate with their facial expressions, just like the dragons in How to Train Your Dragon don't need to talk, but you can see exactly what they're thinking and feeling, and you get their personality. So this is some of the grandest character animation I have ever seen, period. And Matt Damon narrating Spirit's thoughts was certainly a better decision than to have Spirit as, say, lines of dialogue and, say, jokes and pop cultural references. Yes, Spirit as a character himself, he is like the Simba of horses, or the Simba of the West. The poster tagline, "Some legends can never be tamed," and boy is Spirit a legend himself. This character faces his adversity head on, even when he is captured and attempted to be tamed by humans. He never gives in once, and even when he is captured, he puts his hers before him, telling his mother to go back to protect her. He'd rather he was captured than any of them. His most badass moment when he's protecting the herd is when he fights off a cougar that's about to prey on one of the foals of the herd. Yes, Spirit is one of DreamWorks' best and most badass protagonists, and I also absolutely love Spirit's mother. Yeah, and you get the sense of how close they are in the opening scenes of the film when she gives birth to him, and even as an adult, Spirit looks out for his mother to ensure her safety. So it's an extremely touching moment when Spirit's mother sees her son has returned to the hers in the movie's ending. Yeah, she deserved to see her son back home. Yeah, she would be up there with Sarabi, Mrs. Jumbo, and Carla as one of the greatest movie mothers. And as for the Indian boy who Spirit forms a unlikely friendship with throughout the film. This boy, unlike the other humans, doesn't force Spirit to be tamed, even though he does try to tame a Spirit. He does realise and accept that Spirit wants freedom, and there's nothing he can do about it, and he does grow to realizes that all horses they deserve freedom, and yeah, both him and Spirit just want their freedom. He wants his people to be left alone by the army, because sadly at the time cowboys and Indians didn't get along. There were numerous battles between them. So this movie was incredibly historically accurate to the West at that. And he's the one human that Spirit trusts enough to finally let him rise him in the movie's climax. This is one of DreamWorks' strongest friendships. Boy, is it a hard and heart-wrenching goodbye scene when the boy finally lets Spirit and Rain run free. Spirit's never imagined he would grow this close to the boy in his quest for freedom. And as for Rain, she is a lovely and terrific love interest for Spirit. She was brought up by Indians, so she initially wants to stay with them, but as she does grow a bond with Spirit when she shows him her world, and the two, when there's a rope tied around them, the two of them, they swim together, they eat, they share apples together, and Spirit is the first companion of her kind that she has in her life, and after he saves her life from a flash flood, that is when they are officially a couple, and it was so kind of the Indian boy to let Rain go and be with Spirits, I'd love a sequel, a Spirit 2, where Spirit and Rain have falls. They're an underrated DreamWorks couple, and the Colonel is a fitting personal foe for Spirits. While when he has Spirits in the camp in the army, he will stop at nothing to break this pony's spirits. But after Spirits and the Indian boy escape them in the climax, he finally changes his mind, and he's like, you know what, they're not worth it, just let them go. So maybe he's not so bad after all. And also, that eagle is freaking awesome. He is everybody's favorite character in this movie. He's Spirit's guardian angel in his homeland, and this movie is one of the most beautiful looking animated films ever made, period. It's one of the hand-drawn films DreamWorks made, where they blended hand-drawn with CGI, which makes for such a breathtaking combination. The spirit of the West truly shined in this movie. I've recently played the hit game of 2018, Red Dead Redemption 2, and this movie is as accurate to the West as that game is. Gosh, it has some of It has some of the most epic backgrounds I've seen in a animated film, from the mountains, the fields, the forest, the waterfalls, the deserts in the west. DreamWorks, make more movies with gorgeous landscapes. That is what you do best. This movie also has a severely underrated and epic score by Hans Zimmer, composer of The Lion King, and songs by the music legend Bryan Adams himself. Hans Zimmer's themes for Homeland and Reunion are some of my favourite soundtracks in from my childhood, and Bryan Adams songs from Here I Am and You Can't Take Me, I'm Free, Get Off of My Back, and of course I Will Always Return. This movie, I would say, had the best. They are astonishing songs. This movie, I would go as far as saying, had the best soundtrack of any movie in 2002. This is also an exciting and heart-pounding movie from start to finish, and it has some of the greatest pacing I've ever seen in a film in general. And my favourite action sequence would be when Spirits is escaping the collapsing train and the forest fire. That was astonishing. And I read in my Radio Times book their review of Spirits. They just rated it 2 stars. What? How could they rate The Boss Baby 3 stars and Spirits only 2? So overall, Spirit Stallion at the Cimarron is one the most underrated and one of my favourite animated classics of all frickin' time. It's certainly in the same league as movies like Return to Neverland, The Two Towers, Chamber of Secrets, and Ice Age as one of the best movies of 2002. And it would be in my top 10 favourite DreamWorks movies. I give Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron 5 stars out of 5, best movie ever. This movie is why I kind of like DreamWorks just a little better than Pixar, controversially, as at least DreamWorks have made some hand-drawn movies. Pixar have just stuck with CGI. Well, I love you guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And what do you think of Spirit Stallion at the Cimarron? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and Google Plus and on Instagram. And I'll see you all next time when I review another underrated DreamWorks gem, Rise of the Guardians. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.